Jordan lived on the top floor of a very old building. The walls were thin, the pipes creaked, and the elevator always made a strange sound. He didn't mind. It was cheap, and he liked the view from his window. But lately, something odd had started happening. Every night, just after midnight, he would hear a sound in the wall beside his bed. At first, he thought it was nothing, just the usual old building noises. But as the days passed, the sound grew louder. It wasn't a normal sound. It was a scratching sound, soft and slow, like tiny fingers running over metal or wood. Jordan tried to ignore it. He put on his headphones, turned up his music, and even slept on the couch a few times. But the scratching always came back, always from the same spot in the wall, always at the same time. One night, he pressed his ear to the wall. The scratching was there, clearer now. It didn't sound like rats. It was too steady, too clean. Then something made him pull back in shock. He thought he heard a soft knock, 3 short taps, tap, tap, tap. He stepped away and looked at the wall. It was just a normal painted surface, nothing unusual. Still, his heart beat a little faster. The next night, the tapping came again, and this time, it was followed by a sound that made his skin prickle. A whisper. He couldn't understand it, but it sounded like a voice. Not loud, not clear, but definitely not a rat. He stood frozen for several minutes, listening. Then the sound stopped. Complete silence. The next day, he asked his neighbor if she had heard anything. She laughed and said, "This place is full of weird sounds. Probably rats." But something inside Jordan told him it wasn't that simple. He returned to his apartment and stood in front of the wall. He tapped on it. It sounded hollow. Curious, he moved his shelf out of the way, knocking over a few books. Behind the shelf, the wall looked different. The paint was faded, and a small square line could be seen, like a hidden panel. Jordan ran his fingers along the edges. His heart was beating fast now. He pushed on one corner, and to his surprise, the panel clicked. A small hatch popped open. He stared at it for a long time. It was dark inside, very dark. A strange cold air came out, not like the air from the room. It smelled old, but also metallic. He bent down to get a better look. The hatch wasn't very big, just wide enough for a person to crawl through. He grabbed a flashlight from his drawer and shined it into the space. What he saw made him take a step back. The inside wasn't made of wood or brick. It was made of smooth, silver metal. The surface had lines running across it, like cables or circuits. And faintly, it was glowing. A soft blue light moved slowly along the walls, like it was breathing. He looked again, trying to understand. This wasn't part of the building. This wasn't normal. Jordan wasn't the kind of person who liked strange things. He liked routines, calm music, and hot tea. But now, standing in front of a glowing metal tunnel behind his bedroom wall, he felt something new. He felt pulled. He reached in with his flashlight and aimed it deeper into the tunnel. The beam disappeared into the darkness. Then he heard it again, that soft whisper. It came from inside the tunnel this time, and it said one word, his name, Jordan. He dropped the flashlight. It rolled across the floor with a clatter. He looked around quickly. The room was empty. No one was there. He leaned closer to the tunnel, heart racing. "Who's there?" he asked, his voice almost shaking. No answer. The blue light inside the tunnel slowly faded, then came back brighter, like it was answering him. He didn't know what to do. Part of him wanted to close the hatch and forget it ever happened. But another part, the part filled with curiosity, was louder now. He stared into the hatch for a long time. Minutes passed. The room felt colder. Outside, the city lights blinked quietly, but inside that wall, something unknown was waiting, and Jordan had just opened the door to it. Jordan couldn't sleep that night. Even after closing the hatch, pushing the shelf back, and pretending like everything was normal, his mind kept going back to what he saw. The silver walls, the soft glow, the sound of his name whispered from the darkness. He sat on the edge of his bed, flashlight in hand, just staring at the wall. Every now and then, he thought he heard a distant hum, like the sound of a machine buried deep underground. He told himself he was imagining things, but deep down, he didn't believe that. The next morning, the sun felt weaker, like the sky itself had grown quiet. Jordan barely touched his breakfast. He kept glancing toward the wall, half expecting the hatch to open by itself. At noon, he called someone he hadn't spoken to in months. Amy used to work in tech, but she left her job years ago after becoming obsessed with strange signals and old government files. She had theories about space, time, and things hidden on Earth. Most people thought she was just dramatic. Jordan used to think so too. Until now. He didn't tell her everything on the phone, just said, "I need you to see something. It's weird, and I think you'll understand it." When Amy arrived, her first words were, "You look like you've seen a ghost." Jordan didn't laugh. He simply led her to the wall, moved the shelf aside, and opened the hatch. Amy knelt down, shining her own flashlight into the opening. "What is this?" she whispered. "Where does it go?" "I don't know. I haven't gone in. I was waiting." Amy examined the metal walls closely. She touched the surface. "This isn't steel. It's smooth, like glass, but it's not glass. And this Glogerin, this isn't human tech." He didn't respond. He didn't want to believe it yet. Amy pulled out a small scanner from her bag, something she always carried with her hand, pointed it at the opening. A low beep came from the device, followed by a soft flicker on the screen. She frowned. "There's energy coming from deep inside. Something's running down there. Something old, but not dead." Jordan looked at her. "Do you think it's safe?" She gave a small shrug. "Safe? I don't know, but it's not rats, and it's not from this century." After a long silence, Jordan said, "Let's go in." Amy blinked. "Seriously?" He nodded slowly. They both got on their knees and crawled into the hatch, one after the other. The metal walls were cool to the touch. The space was just wide enough to move forward without turning. The tunnel stretched longer than it looked from the outside. After a few meters, the soft blue light brightened, helping them see without. Flashlights. The tunnel led downward, gently sloping like a slide. But there were no screws, no wires, no signs of construction. Everything looked like it had grown that way, like it was made, not built. At the end of the tunnel, they reached a small round room. The walls were smooth and pulsing softly, like a heartbeat. In the center stood a column covered in symbols neither of them could read. Amy moved closer to the column. "These are not numbers, and they're not just decoration. This is a language." Jordan stayed near the edge of the room. "Why would something like this be behind a wall in my apartment?" Amy didn't answer. She was too focused on the column. Then, without touching anything, the surface of the column flickered. A soft chime filled the room. Both of them looked around, tense. The wall behind the column slid open slowly, revealing a new hallway. A cool breeze came from it, along with a faint scent, dusty, but sharp, like ozone after lightning. They stepped inside. The hallway was different. It had panels on the walls showing shapes, stars, and strange moving lines. It felt like a forgotten part of a spaceship or something trying to copy one dot at the end of the hallway. They found another chamber. This one was much larger. In the center was a large capsule, standing upright, covered in mist. As they approached it, a soft light inside the capsule turned on. Jordan stopped. "Is that?" Amy's eyes were wide. "There's someone inside." The figure in the capsule wasn't clear. The glass was foggy, but it was tall, thin, and very still. The mist swirled slowly, hiding most of its body. Then the light inside changed color from white to green. The column behind them came to life again, and this time a voice spoke, not loud, not angry, just calm and quiet. But it wasn't in English. Jordan's legs felt weak. "What is this place?" Amy whispered. "I think you found something no one was supposed to find." Then the lights around the capsule blinked once. The figure inside moved just a little, but enough. Jordan stepped back. Amy held her breath. Whatever was inside that room was waking up. Jordan's breath caught in his throat. He stared at the capsule, not blinking, as the mist slowly cleared away from the glass. For a second, he thought his eyes were playing tricks on him. But no, there really was someone or something inside. The figure looked almost human. Its arms were long, and its skin had a slight shimmer, like silver dust under a pale light. Its eyes were closed, and its head leaned slightly to the side, like it was in a deep sleep. It wasn't breathing like a person would, but there was a soft pulse of light coming from the chest area, steady, slow, alive. Amy stepped closer, careful not to touch anything. Her voice was just a whisper. "It's in stasis, a kind of sleep chamber. But this tech, this design, it's not from Earth. Not from any lab I know of." Jordan nodded slowly, still keeping his distance. "Then why is it under my apartment?" Amy didn't answer. Instead, she walked to the wall, where more strange panels lit up as she moved. They seemed to react to her presence. Small symbols, appeared glowing lines, slowly changing like they were trying to speak. "I think this place is responding to us," Amy said. "It's been asleep too, just waiting." Jordan felt something cold under his foot. He looked down. The floor wasn't smooth like the walls. There were line tracks, maybe leading out of the chamber into another tunnel, mostly hidden in shadow. The soft light inside the capsule blinked, once, twice. Then the figure's head moved. Not much, just enough to make Jordan step back again. Amy froze. Her eyes were wide. Did it just move? Jordan asked before Amy could answer. The lights in the room dimmed, then turned blue. A soft tone echoed from the walls. It wasn't music, it was more like a signal. Not loud, almost like a heartbeat. Dot. And then they heard it again. That voice, from the tunnel behind them. But this time, it was clearer. Not alone. Jordan turned toward the tunnel. He saw nothing. No shadows, no movement. But the air suddenly felt heavier, like the room was holding its breath. Amy turned back to the capsule. Her voice was calm but serious. "We're not alone down here. That voice, it's not just in our heads. Something else is active." The capsule made a soft sound like steam escaping. Thin lines of fog hissed out from the edges. Then a small display on the side of the pod lit up. To their surprise, it showed a map. Not of the building, not even of the city. It showed Earth from space. Tiny dots blinked across the map. One was red. It blinked exactly where Jordan's apartment should be. Amy pointed. "That's us. But the rest? There are more locations. Hidden." Jordan felt his hands grow cold. "You think this thing came from space?" Amy didn't answer. Her eyes stayed on the screen. Suddenly, the capsule released a soft burst of light, and the figure inside opened its eyes. They weren't scary, just large, clear, filled with something that felt like wonder and confusion. Jordan stepped forward, just a little. The figure looked at him, then looked at Amy. Its mouth didn't move, but a voice filled the room again, calm and slow, as if learning how to speak. "Safe. Is this Earth?" Amy blinked. "Yes, this is Earth. Who are you?" The figure tilted its head. "I am last, hidden, waiting." Jordan asked, "Why here? Why under my building?" The figure took a long pause, then said, "Buried, to protect. Not from humans, from what follows." Amy whispered, "What follows?" But before she could say more, the lights in the chamber flickered. A new sound echoed from somewhere deep within the tunnels. Low, steady, like machinery waking up. The figure looked toward the sound, then back at them. "They come. Soon. Not safe here." Amy looked around. "We need to understand what this place is. There's more down here." The figure moved for the first time. The capsule opened slowly, and a fine mist spilled into the air. It stepped out calmly, carefully. Its movements were graceful, almost like floating dot. It pointed toward the tunnel. "Hidden behind the main chamber. Core ... shows truth." Jordan hesitated. "What truth?" The figure looked at him. "What humans forgot, what others buried." Amy reached for her camera, but the figure shook its head slowly. "No records, not yet." Jordan and Amy exchanged glances. They didn't know what this was, or what they were walking into. But it was clear now they had discovered something meant to stay hidden, and whatever secrets were buried here were waking up, one by one. Without a word, they followed the figure into the dark tunnel ahead. The tunnel ahead was darker than the others, and colder too. Jordan rubbed his arms as he walked, following the glowing light on the figure's back. It gave off a soft blue shine with each step, like it was breathing through the light. Amy walked beside him, her eyes darting around, trying to memorize every detail of the strange place they were now exploring. The walls here weren't smooth anymore. They were covered in strange markings, shapes, lines, and patterns that shifted slightly as they passed, as if responding to their presence. The silence was heavy, but not empty. It was the kind of quiet that made you feel like you were being watched, not by one thing, but by the walls themselves. After walking for what felt like several minutes, the tunnel opened into another round chamber, this one wider, with several smaller paths leading out in different directions. At the center of the room stood a tall, oval-shaped structure. It was made of the same silver-like material, but this one had no lights, no sounds. It just stood there quiet and still. The figure approached it and gently placed a hand on the surface, a soft glow spread out from its fingers, and slowly, the structure came to life. Lights blinked across its surface, and a projection appeared in the air above it. Jordan took a small step forward, eyes wide. The projection showed Earth again, but not like before. This time, it was spinning slowly in space, surrounded by dots and shapes. Recognized some of them satellites, space stations, but there were other strange symbols floating around the planet. Amy pointed at them. These aren't human. Look at their shapes. They're not machines we've launched. The figure nodded. Visitors. Long ago. Some watched. Some warned. Warned? Jordan asked. Warned about what? The figure raised its hand again, and the image shifted. The Earth disappeared, and a new world took its place. This one was darker, broken, full of cracks and red patches. All around it were thin, black lines like webs, stretching across the stars. Amy's voice was barely a whisper. What planet is that? The figure answered. A home that didn't survive, taken by what followed. Jordan looked at the figure. You mean, your planet? The figure turned slightly, and though its face didn't show much emotion, something in its eyes looked sad. Not only mine, others too. Worlds. Forgotten. The image changed again. This time, it showed the same silver tunnels they were now walking through but years ago. Cleaner, brighter, filled with more figures like the one with them now. They worked, built, and moved, together with calm purpose. Amy watched, amazed. This place wasn't just a hiding spot. It was a station. A base. Yes, the figure said. Left behind. To wait. For what? Jordan asked. The figure looked at him carefully. For someone to find. Someone ready to listen. The chamber dimmed again, and the projection faded. The tall structure powered down with a soft chime. The figure stepped back and pointed to one of the side tunnels. More answers. This way. Jordan followed, still trying to make sense of what he saw. Amy was quiet now, her mind clearly racing. As they entered the next tunnel, the air grew warmer. The lights on the walls turned a soft orange, and a gentle hum could be heard under their feet. It felt like the tunnel was waking up just for them. They reached a door unlike the others round, with a spinning pattern in the center. The figure raised its hand, and the door slowly slid open. Behind it was a room filled with strange objects, floating panels, screens showing distant stars, and shelves lined with small crystals, each one glowing faintly. It looked like a museum from another world. Amy walked slowly among the items, her hands behind her back like she was afraid to touch anything. This place, it's like a memory. Jordan moved toward a screen showing Earth again. But this time, there was a large red circle over a part of the planet, exactly where their city was. He looked at the figure. Why here? Why did you hide under this part of the world? The figure replied, because this place was quiet, unseen. The Watchers don't look here. Amy turned. Watchers. The figure took a step toward them. The ones who clean what must not be known. They don't come unless the light returns. Jordan asked. The light? You mean, this place turning on? The figure nodded. Yes, now they may feel it. They may come. Amy swallowed hard. Then we don't have much time. Just then, a soft sound came from far behind them. Click. Very soft, very distant. Jordan froze. Did you hear that? Amy nodded. It came from the first tunnel. The figure didn't move, but its voice grew quiet. If they arrive, they will not speak. Amy looked toward the path they came from. Then we need to see the rest. All of it, before it's too late. Jordan nodded, though he wasn't sure he was ready. But something deep inside told him they were part of this now. And the truth waiting for them wasn't just about an alien, underground base. It was about Earth, and what was still watching from the dark. Asterisk. Jordan stepped carefully as they followed the figure into a narrow corridor, this one curving gently to the left. The air inside was no longer cold. It had grown still and warm, like something deeper in the system had been turned on. The floor hummed with a low pulse under their feet, as if energy was slowly moving through the hidden paths beneath the city. Amy walked a few steps ahead of Jordan now, her eyes wide and alert. We're close to something, she said. I can feel it. Whatever was left behind here, it's not finished. The figure didn't speak. It simply moved forward, its light-pulsed skin glowing a little brighter as they walked. The tunnel opened into a wide chamber shaped like a half-circle. All across the walls were long vertical lines of light, slowly pulsing like they were breathing in sync with one another. The walls almost looked alive, but at the far end of the chamber was a tall console, curved and wide, shaped like a leaf standing. On its edge, the figure walked straight to it and placed both hands gently on its surface. Lights flickered beneath its fingers, and suddenly the room became brighter. A large map appeared in the air roof again, but this time, the entire planet was covered in glowing marks, some red, some green, many blinking softly. Jordan leaned forward. Amy whispered, "These aren't weather patterns. They're locations, signals, places where something's hidden." The figure spoke slowly. Places touched, places marked, some sleeping, some no longer safe. Jordan looked around. "You said others would come, that this place would alert them." "Yes," the figure said. "The signal is already rising. They will see, they will search." Amy turned to the figure. "Who are they? You keep saying they, but what are they? What do they want?" The figure turned to her. "Not destroyers, not builders. They clean. They erase signs, to protect others, to keep peace. But sometimes, they erase too much, even memory." Jordan frowned. "They erase things, like this place." The figure nodded. "Yes, when something grows too visible, they remove it quietly, fully." Amy took a breath. "You mean, they'd wipe this entire place out? Even us?" "No," the figure said gently. "Not you. Not unless you try to spread what should stay buried." Jordan stepped back. "Then we shouldn't have opened the hatch. We brought attention." The figure raised its hand, and the map in the air zoomed in. It showed the city then, their building then, a mark, blinking steadily. "You didn't wake it," the figure said. "Time did. This place was never meant to last forever. The system here waited as long as it could." Amy looked back at the glowing map. "So what happens now?" The figure slowly pointed to one of the side walls. A small panel slid open, revealing another tunnel, this one darker and quieter than all the others. "The core waits," it said. "Final memory, final choice." They entered the new passage. This tunnel was different. It didn't hum. It didn't glow. It was quiet and simple, almost like it had been untouched for years. The walls were rough, some parts cracked, as if time had finally reached them. After a few minutes, they reached a single room. It was small, with a dome-shaped ceiling, and one round platform in the center. On the platform sat a sphere about the size of a basketball floating slightly above the surface. Turning slowly, the figure stepped forward and placed both hands on either side of the sphere. Instantly, a soft light filled the room. A memory. Not a video, not a sound, but a memory shared directly into their minds. Jordan saw it first. A world, not Earth. Tall towers, soft blue skies, creatures with light-pulsed skin walking peacefully. Then, a shadow, a dark string of lights moving across, the stars like a spider's thread. Then the towers falling, slowly, quietly, no explosions, no fire, just gone. Amy stood completely still. Her mouth was slightly open. "That wasn't your planet. That was one of many." "Yes," the figure said. "We ran. We buried what we could. We left signs for those who might understand, but most did not. They erased what they found." Jordan shook his head slowly. "And now, Earth is on their path." The figure looked at him. "Earth still has time, still has choice." Amy stepped forward. "Then why show us this? Why not warn everyone?" The figure's voice was soft. "Because humans do not believe what comes without noise. You saw without being forced. That matters." Jordan asked, "What are we supposed to do now?" Before the figure could answer, the lights flickered. For the first time, the hum in the floor disappeared. Everything went still. Then, from far above somewhere, back near the surface, a low tone echoed. "A signal." The figure turned to them. "They are near. You must decide what to carry forward, and what to leave behind." Jordan looked at Amy. She didn't say anything. Outside the chamber, the lights began to blink in a new pattern. Something, or someone, had found the path they followed. But there was still time, a little time, just enough to learn the full truth. The blinking lights outside the chamber pulsed faster now, changing colors in a rhythm that made Jordan's stomach tighten. It was no longer a soft, gentle welcome. This pattern felt different, like an alert. The figure stepped away from the floating memory sphere and turned toward the entrance. Its calm glow had dimmed slightly, and it paused for a few seconds, listening. Amy slowly walked to Jordan's side, lowering her voice to a whisper. "Something's moving out there." I think it's already inside the tunnels. Jordan didn't answer. He just kept his eyes on the figure. They've entered the outer path, the figure said. They follow signals. We've left too many now. Amy frowned. Are they machines? The figure nodded once. Not alive, but not empty either. Built for silence. They do not speak. They only correct what they believe is broken. Jordan took a step back from the platform. Then we need to go. We can't be here when they reach this chamber. The figure looked at him, expression unreadable. Running is not enough. You have already seen. The memory now lives in you. The watchers will know. Amy looked at the floating sphere still, turning in place. Then what do we do? Hide it again. Shut it down. The figure shook its head. You don't shut down memory. You share it, or forget it. That choice is yours. Suddenly, the room dimmed again. From the tunnel behind them, the quiet sound of movement began. It wasn't footsteps. It was more like a flowing shift in the walls, a ripple, smooth but unmistakable. The figure walked to the opposite side of the room and placed its hand on a second panel. A door opened silently, revealing a new path, smaller, narrower, and much older looking. Dust hung in the air, untouched for years. This way, the figure said softly. The last place. The core. They followed quickly, not running, but moving with urgency. The air grew colder again as they went deeper. The tunnel's surface was cracked in places, with roots poking through from above, as if Earth had begun reclaiming this forgotten space. After a few minutes, the tunnel opened into a round chamber that looked nothing like the others. It had no lights, no floating machines, just a single, large crystal, standing in the middle of the room, glowing, a very soft white. The crystal pulsed like a slow heartbeat. It hummed gently, vibrating the floor beneath their feet. Amy looked around, stunned. This is it. The figure nodded. The original beacon. The first voice. Jordan stared at the crystal. It's a message. It's more than that. The figure replied. It's a seed, of knowledge, of warning. It remembers everything. Amy approached it carefully. Can it be moved? No, the figure said. It's part of the ground now. It chose this place long ago, but it can still share. As Amy got closer, the crystal began to respond. It lit up brighter, and an image appeared in the air above it. Earth again, but seen from another angle. This time, thin lines of light connected it to several distant stars. Jordan realized they were paths, ancient ones. These are the routes others took, the figure explained. Some led to safety, others led to silence. The image changed again. Now it showed humans, scientists, people through the ages standing near ancient ruins, strange carvings, broken satellites. Many of them looked confused. Some walked away. Others took pieces and left. Many have found pieces, the figure said, but none stayed long enough to see the whole. Jordan looked at the figure. Why now? Why me? You listened. It said simply. Most don't. You followed a whisper, not a command. That's rare. Amy touched the edge of the crystal's base. Instantly, new lights danced through the air, forming a spinning ring of symbols above their heads. She looked up, blinking. I don't understand what it means, she whispered. You don't have to, the figure said. The crystal will carry your thoughts, your memories. It will make its choice. Jordan stepped closer. Its choice. Yes, the figure replied. Whether to remain, or to be known. The room became quiet again. Outside, the distant hum grew stronger. Amy looked at Jordan. I think it's asking us if we're ready to carry what we've learned, or if we should walk away. He didn't speak right away. The truth was heavy, but also clear. We can't leave this forgotten again, Jordan said. If those machines come, and they clean this place, it's all gone forever. The crystal glowed slightly brighter. A gentle chime echoed through the chamber. It had heard him. The figure turned to the tunnel behind them. They are near. You have little time. Jordan and Amy looked at each other. Without words, they knew they had to move. One path remained, a way out, but now, they carried something more than memory. They carried the choice. And above them, in the city that had no idea what slept beneath its streets, something quiet had begun to shift.